Hey guys, Dawn here, and today we are going to step it up. Yep, we're going to add dimension. So I thought the collage style was a great way to experiment with this, and our Just Geometrics triangle set is perfect for this style. I'm going to start by using the large clustered triangles, and I'm inking this up here in our new dye ink. This is Sweet Gelato, and we are going to be releasing these in March. These are my prototypes, so there's no labels on them right now. But I'm super excited about these inks. They are very vibrant. They dry to a nice even coverage, and I'm just in love with them. So for the collage style, I'm setting mine up. When you read from left to right, kind of a no-fail way to lead the eye would be to start in the upper left-hand corner and end in the lower right-hand corner, and it's going to add the perfect balance to your design or your composition. So you naturally want to do that, so let's just work with that here. So anything I do in the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to repeat little remnants of in the lower right-hand corner as well. Now I wanted to add some contrast here, so I'm using one of the patterned triangles also included in the set, and I'm stamping this in our new silver lining ink, and I love this color. It's, like I said, silver lining. Metallics are hot right now, super hot, but I wanted something non-shiny, so I've developed a gold and a silver, but they're in a matte finish. So they really are the perfect complement to those high shine metallic golds and silvers that are so popular right now. Now I'm just adding these in, and you'll notice that I'm adding this in a triangular pattern as well. And we're going to add some color splashes with this Heidi Swipe Color Shine, and this is in Tinsel. So I'm shaking it up a little bit, and I'm laying down something to protect my surface. And you could put this in a box, but I'm just not going full out with this. I'm just doing kind of a half spritz. So this suffices. And then I wanted to add a little bit more to that lower left or that lower right. So I'm going to use a more controlled method here. I'm using the applicator just dipped into the ink here. And then I'm just going to flick it and get it kind of where I want it. Now I want to add a happy die cut on top here, but I don't want it to be stark white. So I've gone ahead and die cut this from our white cardstock, and I'm just going to poke out the negative spaces here. Any of the tiny ones, you can just use a piercer tool and get those right out. And I want this to match exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this with our silver lining ink. Now you could use a sponge dauber to do this, but I'm kind of lazy, and I'm just going to push it right into the pad. I'm just going to push it all around, and once I've got it to where, you know, it's all covered and it's right how I like it, I'm just going to use my fingers to smear it around and kind of even it out a little bit more. Now you want to make sure that if you do this method, that you wash your hands good afterwards with a baby wipe, because you don't want to transfer any of that ink to your final project. Now this looks quite a bit darker right now when it's wet, but as it dries, it will get a couple shades lighter. So this is the darker wet one. That's a dry one that I did earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one because it's dry and it won't transfer any ink to my project. Now I want that die cut and any of those elements that I lay over top of my triangles, I want them to stand out. So I'm going to use this vellum, and I've cut it down to 2 inches by 4 inches. And I'm going to cut a little notched banner. So I'm measuring over 1 inch, marked it, and then I'm going to use my scissors to just cut up, and then I'm going to cut in from each corner to that middle cut that I've made. This should give me the perfect flag banner. Now using vellum is a great trick when you want your background pattern to be diffused or subdued just a little bit, but you still want to be visible in your final design. This will allow whatever you put on top to stand out a little bit more. For the rest of our sentiment, we're going to be stamping the times ahead, happy times ahead. I thought this would be great for congrats card. So we're using the Whole Lotta Happy stamp set, and we're going to be putting that onto our Sweet Gelato cardstock and embossing it in white. So I've already gone ahead and rubbed this down with a little embossing buddy pad. I'm going to be using Versamark. Now this strip, I've cut it to about 3/4 of an inch tall, and the length really doesn't matter, the width, because I'm going to be cutting this down anyway. So once I've got that stamped, I'm going to use the Wow embossing powder in white. I really love this embossing powder. It's a nice bright white. And I'm just going to be using the card base to sprinkle my powder over, and that way I can funnel it all back into the jar afterwards. Now, a trick that I like to do when I emboss is I like to start by warming the back side of the paper first, and then I'll come to the front side and emboss that. And once that's done, I just kind of hit the back one more time really quickly, and I find that this greatly reduces the amount of warping that I get. You'll see here that I have almost no warping whatsoever. So I'm just going to put the leftover here back in the jar. And then we're going to trim this down. I'm going to just trim them at a diagonal here. And try to get them at the same angle, but I'm not being too picky. So we've got all of our pieces ready, and I want to add some sequins. Sequins are hot right now, so why not use them, right? And they're great for the collage look. So I'm going to play around with these. I know I want some to be underneath the vellum. I want some to be on top of the vellum. So once I get this arranged just how I like it, I'm going to double check and make sure that everything lines up well. I'm going to use some glossy accents to hold these in place. These suckers are not going to move. To secure the vellum, we're going to be using some stitching, my sewing machine. Now you could use vellum tape runner, but any other adhesive is going to show through, and I really want this to be secured at the top, and I couldn't find my vellum tape runner, so we'll use the stitching. I've just done a straight stitch across the top, and on the right side I'm going to pull the thread through to the back and tie that in a double knot, and that should hold it nice and secure, and the threads shouldn't come undone. And then on the left side, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to leave that dangle. This is kind of a free-spirited little design here, so it kind of works with it. To further pull that into the design, I'm just going to take this wad of thread and play around with it a little bit, and have that ground and tie together the two sentiments. So I'm going to make sure that it goes underneath this little scrap of sentiment and also underneath the die cut. Now add glossy accents to the back of the die cut, and we're going to use this to adhere the thread and the die cut all at once. So when I push that down, plenty of that glossy accents is going to grab that thread, and it's going to secure it as well as the die cut. We're going to use some foam tape to adhere the times ahead sentiment. And then all we have to do is adhere the panel here to the card base. We'll be using lots of foam tape for that as well. I don't want any sagging, so I'm using plenty of foam tape. So like I said, the collage style is great for adding plenty of dimension. It's a great way to experiment. You can use popped up elements, die cuts, embossing. You can add texture with different materials and stitching. I really hope that you enjoyed today's card, and I hope that you play along with our Step It Up challenge over on the blog at stampawaywithme.blogspot.com. There'll be a link for you guys to link up your projects, and I can't wait to see what you make. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.